is single-handedly the most important game that both of these teams have played all year long. Dare I say, maybe even the biggest game they've played in their careers, Dev. I don't want to put too much emphasis on that. But Gaimin Gladiators came into 2022 and they have seriously taken APAC South by storm. Do you think they can back it up and secure a major spot today?
This team absolutely is capable, which was unheard of. 6 months ago, these guys just played in Nationals. They knocked out both Order and Bliss, two very favoured teams in the relegation tournament. They got picked up by Gladiators. They've got the support. You know, it wasn't long ago. There was actually a great tweet from Echo, the team manager, recently about, this team was close to disbanding not very long ago, and they've had a revitalization in their roster. They had Joe come on board, formerly of Invictus.
Yep.
And they've just escalated to another level. They are fully capable of making it to that major. They believe it, but they're also not putting too much pressure on it, which to me is actually the most impressive thing. It's what Rick said in his interview last week. They were like, look, we're not too worried about the major. We're not really thinking about it. Like, if we get to go, that's cool. We just want to improve.
And Mandy, I think that's single-handedly the most dangerous mindset you can have,
For
Gaimin
sure.
Gladiators with no pressure whatsoever. They have done incredibly in 2022. Do they book their major spot today?
I've predicted for them to book it. I think that they've been the most consistent team throughout this entire league, bar Elevate, I suppose, from Stage 1 to Stage 2. They've shown tremendous improvement. I don't see that stopping today.
It feels like the prospect for this team has never been higher, Dev. Do we start talking about them being one of the best in APAC? I mean, do we just start talking about it now?
It's so hard because, they'd be the first to say they don't want to get overexcited and I guess have too high expectations, because this is a very new team in a way. Like, they don't have... Not all these players have a lot of very high-level experience. These players have been around for a very long time. Rix, for example, he is a true OG. He actually played in the very first season of Southeast Asia Pro League back in 2017. 5 years later, he might be able to finally make a major. But that is experience of a kind, but it's not like none of these teams have gone to big majors before. None of these teams have that experience, except for, technically, I guess Joe has had a bit of a stint on Invictus, you could kind of count.
Yep.
And it's just another step up for this team. Hard to get too ahead of yourselves and say they'll be the best in APAC or APAC South, but that's not the attitude they're having. They're just looking at taking it one step at a time.
Well, one team that has taken it one step at a time since the beginning of 2021, it's the Knights. They have had one of the most turbulent experiences, I feel, in APAC South. From first place in Stage 2 to last place in Stage 3 of 2021. They unfortunately weren't able to go to the Mexico Major, and that was absolute heartbreak. That really, I think, put a bit of I want to say just like a thought in the back of their mind. But Mandy, coming into 2022, they have well and truly shown that they are a team that deserves this spot. They finished 4th overall, I believe, in Stage 1, and now this could be their opportunity to book their very first international appearance.
Absolutely. I think they're missing out on the major. Was just adding fuel to the fire, a more of a push and ambition to try and make this one coming into Berlin. And now the opportunity has been handed to them in this best of one against the Gaimin Gladiators. The Knights have been through turbulence is the exactly correct word, I would say. They haven't shown quite the consistency. Sometimes they've dropped the ball to teams that we didn't expect. For example, Fury were able to take them down. But the progress that they've made and the roster that they've decided to put together and formulate has just been so incredible to watch. I love their strat book. I love their cohesion. And they just seem like such down-to-earth guys as well.
It's a huge talking point, isn't it, Dev? The two players they picked up, Stig's former from Fnatic, and then prior to that, obviously, on the Knights. But Quiz was really the one that raised a lot of eyebrows.
Yeah, he played for the old Fury team, which is now Ground Zero, just a national team that he had only ever played in Oceanic Challenger League, which isn't even national. It's like pre-national. And a huge jump up for him. It's taken him some time to really find his feet, but now both him and Stigs have proven to be really strong additions to the team. Juicy and Sage also just such core fundamental players to this roster. And Josh is actually the best statistical player in this entire matchup. He is top 4 for rating and also in the top 5 for KD and clutches. I've also got another fun one for Juicy, the Don that we all know and love, like the IGL hard support of this team. by far the most plants in the league, 8 plants, and the next closest is 5. So it just, I think, reflects how the Knights works as a team. They have some real star fraggers, they have some star players. They also, like you were saying, Mandy, have a really strong strat book. They always like to play methodically when it suits them as well, and they're good at just working through that checklist.
And even more fun fact for you about Juicy, he had the most plants in the world for a Tier 1 league. This was only 2 play days ago. And he was also the highest rated player on the night. So there is a huge conversation around what this player in particular has been able to do. The Don, as we have marked it in OCN. But moving forward, it's time to have a look at the vetoes. And this could really completely turn our conversation as to, what side we're favouring. We've got it split on the desk. It's more or less 50-50. We head to Chalet. Here is one of the funnest facts I think that I have for anyone watching. Chalet is the only map in APAC South to have not been played in Stage 2. Dev, is that scary?
That is scary. I'm actually really curious to see Knights ban Border. You remember the game last week, Direwolves versus Knights, and Knights won 7-5. They are so good on Border, like a really strong Border team. That's why I think it's so interesting to see them actually ban it and choose to go to Chalet instead. Knights have zero info from what I've got on Gladiators Chalet, right? Like the only result I've got of Gaimin Gladiators playing Chalet, I'm actually pretty sure that's the North American Challenge League Gaimin Gladiators roster, so completely irrelevant. They haven't played it in APAC South, they haven't played it in Operation League, so a huge gamble for Knights, who also haven't played it since May when they beat the Chiefs in a close 8-7 in OCS, which is a national league. They also beat Sandbox in the APAC playoffs on it, but again, a really, really tight game. So this is actually a very strange one for me. A big gamble, both teams going to a map that they don't play very often, especially for Knights when Border, one of their better maps, as has been proven in recent history, was left in and they could have played it if they wanted to.
Now, Mandy, the game is ready, but I want to get your final thoughts on this one. Do you feel confident in your GG pick?
I am pretty confident in my GG pick. The asterisk that I have on the Knights right now is that GG are the ones starting out on the attack because Knights banned out last, right? So preferably, GG are starting on the attacker-sided half of Chalet, which is what we come to expect. So if they can get the momentum running, I feel like it's going to be very hard to mentally claw back into this game if you're the Knights.
Well, this is a massive one. The implications could not be larger for either of these two teams. And to run you through all of the action, it's Starsky and Hutch.
Such a massive game here. Of course, winner basically goes to Berlin. All the permutations we'll cover throughout this match, but it is arguably one of the biggest matches that we've ever had in terms of an APAC South regulation match, guys. Knights, Gladiators, both battling for that final spot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think the fact that we're heading to a real, I guess, smoke and mirrors map, right? Neither team has really shown a whole lot on, especially GG. No info heading into this one. Knights as well could have sent us to Border, but they've taken a risk. It's a bold call for a big match, and I'm keen to see who gets out on top.
For the first time this stage, we head to the wintry Chalet, and it could have the most important decision to be made. Who heads to Berlin? We'll find out very soon. Gaimin Gladiators and the Knights to do battle. The good luck, have funs, go out and chat, and now it's serious time. Knights on the defense, Gladiators on the offense as we head into the ban phase.
As expected, GG are starting on the attack, so that opens up the Knights to enforce the first ban in this match, and it's Finka straight off the board. Not too unexpected. One of the most banned operators globally at the moment. So powerful. LMG, Adrenal Surge, combo that together. Not all that fun to play against. And Flores, in response from GG, just slowing down the potential for some of that util clear.
And Finka, the most picked, most banned operator in APAC South. No surprise in that regard. The Flores as well, very, very prominent when it comes to Chalet, clearing out a lot of the choke points. And Valkyrie as well. Also, another operator that not only on Chalet, but pretty much everywhere is, again, still in the banned department. Our final one will be the Aruni to close things out, heading into Chalet for the first time this stage. I would sort of just bring our minds back to the last time these two teams played, guys, back when Gaimin Gladiators were Renatus. That was on Oregon. So interesting to think that we could have been potentially heading there once again. Knights won that one 7-4. Of course, this was in regulation of Stage 1. So we see, will the script flip this time around? Can the Gladiators get revenge on the Knights and find victory and send themselves to the Berlin Major? And just to, again, go over those permutations, Gladiators win in regulation. They go through. Knights win in regulation, they go through. But in any scenario that we head to overtime, it is the Gladiators that go through every time.
Yeah, so ultimately that means it's a race to 6 rounds for GG in this match. So the fact that they are starting on the statistically favored side of attack gives them a huge, huge boost in this matchup. It's very difficult to look past that. I'm sure that will be in the backs of the minds of the Knights, but it's up to the Aussies on the defense to just put that behind them, right? If you are the best team, shouldn't really matter. You should be able to get it done in regulation anyway. And they know already heading into this match, they can't make too many mistakes, otherwise that opportunity will slip away. We head over towards Bar Gaming for the first bomb site here. On the rotation, GG preparing drones for the solar take. The Knights extending across as expected. And this isn't really playing out all that differently from stage 1. And that's strange considering that we haven't seen this map played at all.
Well, straight away, when you kind of look at the lineup the Gaimin Gladiators bringing here, the Amara, the Ying, the Lion, sensing a bit of a rush attack could be on the cards. But when you consider this is a best of 1, you can't make mistakes. How many times have we seen teams, especially even on maps like CHALET, go for that sort of blitz take and it all just falls apart to a strong defense? You've only got so many rounds. You're on the attack. You really can't, let that go to waste. So while it may look like a bit of a fast entry take for Gaimin Gladiators, that doesn't mean it has to happen straight away. I'm thinking big window, late round. The Candelas, for example, get control of Library. From there, they can really use those Candelas to full effect, but clearing out this mezzanine area, not going to be easy. You've got the keeper barriers as well with Stigs, but they're going in early. Rick's just trying to walk straight on through, and Juicy watching for Bartstock. I mean, it's the easiest defense there for the Knights. What is the Gladiators thinking? Joe finally gets into games, but really, everyone else is already dead. Quiz got a big kill on Tatolji after he found 2 kills, but that's it. Round done. Knights 1-0 up.
Well, that slight advantage perhaps that GG did have in getting to 6 first has perhaps now withered away off the back of that first round. A very aggressive execute. Obviously, I guess a quote-unquote rush in terms of the operator composition, but they did try and set themselves up with the flank watch up above in Library to prevent the retake. However, the vault-in did not pay off. Backstore was being held. The smokes weren't in positions to cover that line of sight. The Candelas didn't hit either, so none of the util there from GG doing anything worthwhile. Knights doing a great job, very composed. They get the first round.
Yeah, far too slow with that vault in through big window. Really no other, there was no Candelas going out to sort of blind Juicy and Barstock. There was really no way in which Knights were going to lose that round with the way that Gladiators played it. And if that's a sign of things to come, I think the Knights will be taking those kind of rounds all night, every night. And they get a good start, remembering kind of what you said, that it's a race for the Knights, of course, to 7. It's a race for Gladiators to 6 when it comes to the rounds. Well, the Knights get 1, and so that kind of now already diminishes the advantage that maybe Gaimin Gladiators had. So we go from here, and I would imagine Gladiators won't be looking to go for that kind of approach once again as we change up here for the second round.
10 seconds left.
Over towards Kitchen Dining for the second, but much is the case here on Chalet. We will see extensions up above. Now, interestingly, only a single wall reinforced from Dining into Lobby, suggesting that the Knights here are going to be quite aggressive here on the roam. It's lines of sight. That can be seen all the way from Trophy, depending on how the Knights have set up this particular objective. You can see just how long those lines of sight actually are. And for GG, that means that lobby control isn't necessarily going to be as free as it otherwise would be.
Oh, Tolji, though, gets a free kill onto Josh. Big player to get rid of. We know that Josh is such a linchpin when it comes to the Knights, one of their best players statistically. When the Knights are playing well, a lot of the reason is because Josh is playing well. 1.20 rating so far this stage through the 6 matches, +2 entry, +16 KD. And he gets taken out very early, and this opens the door now for the Gladiators, quite literally, to make their way into Library and above, to clear above now for Kitchen Dining. And they look like they can have a good round here if they can, of course, finish strong.
All about recovering now for the Knights. Quiz aggressors back up above and Sage down below, still on the roam. So there are still some sneaky positions being held here by the Knights, but Gaimin Gladiators making good work of their control. They've established up above. That's a line of sight into Office, applying more pressure to Quiz as Juicy now comes alongside to assist. A good drone, however, in response from the attack. They have information now, and the Knights under quite a bit of pressure.
Only 3 drones remaining, though, with 90 seconds left in the round. But Ape with a big shot onto Quiz. Knights falling now, and they have not been able to respond. And all they're getting as well is pushed back towards site down below. That's going to leave things opened up now for the Gladiators, who have 2-player advantage. Juicy feeling like maybe he needs to make a play. Pushes up to the window here in Trophy. Can't find the angle, but Hoven can. From the lower position, he finds the head of Juicy, and Gaimin Gladiators looking like they're going to find this second round.
Just snowballing the momentum now, and with 60 seconds to go, and Sage low on HP, now down. Stigs is left to clutch, and he has had some big moments in this second stage, but this would have to be absolutely huge, of course. From that spot, there's nothing he can do. Gladiators with a good response.
Yeah, and obviously a bit disappointing there for the Knights because they just got picked apart. Josh goes down too early from that library window, and then they just lose a couple more players up above, and then suddenly you've lost vert control. Everyone's pushed back, stuck on Trophy stairs. Obviously, Juicy, I think, makes the right play, goes for that kill through the Trophy window, but Hoven's just positioned so beautifully. Doesn't fall there. If he does, then suddenly you don't have to worry about the player outside. You've got a little bit of control in Trophy, but big shot from Hoven. Obviously, Ape, he got the big kill. He's the big player on this team as well. 1.18 rating, plus 14. An amazing stage so far, along with Joe, both over that sort of 1.10 threshold. And 1 for 1 to start on Chalet. You wouldn't have it any other way for these two teams. And I saw, even had a sneak peek, guys, at the Twitch channel point voting before this game started, and it was about 50-50. So really does kind of highlight how close these two teams are.
Exactly right. I think anyone would be amiss to say this isn't going to be incredibly close. It's very hard to call. It's going to come down to which team simply plays better on the day. And again, even at their peak, difficult to separate these two. So I'm hoping that as this game develops, we get to see that. Unfortunately for both teams, the first 2 rounds have been incredibly one-sided, right? We haven't seen a round go down to the death as of yet. For me, I would probably edge out the Knights with a little bit more experience in the late round. To perform slightly better. Perhaps that will be the game plan for Gladiators. I continue going forward, try and get aggressive early round. We'll have to wait and see. That's obviously something we can look back on in a couple of rounds' time. But for now, the Knights establishing over towards bedroom. Some control down below from Sage. Quiz in a pretty common position over towards Mez. Stigs to assist him. Sage has been taking quite low. Don't know exactly how that took place. But nonetheless, Gladiators, I'm assuming, will want to work from library across. And Quiz is going to be a big player for the Knights in this round.
Well, this entire match, you know, obviously only being a best of 1, that's a Gemini, is going to be about which team can adapt better under the circumstances. You look at round 1, obviously Gladiators tried to make a bit of an offensive play. Then round 2, they slowed it. They used their drones, right? And then they changed their approach. This is a great nade onto Josh, though. Hoven, 2 big plays in 2 big rounds. And Josh goes down early once again. That allows entry into games now for Gaimin Gladiators. And a sense of deja vu from round 2, with a similar sort of circumstance happening over towards Library. And Gladiators find their entry and find a way into the map.
Yeah, great nade. The greed from Josh goes punished. He already used his Nitro, and that was his best condition to get a kill from that position, but instead tried to hold his ground. That wasn't really going to work out. I know they need pressure down below the Knights, but probably would have been better off forfeiting that, at least momentarily. And now with half the round to go, Gladiators once again in box position to try and take this round. It's all about trying to open up the wall now, in towards site, expose those players on the A objective, push them back in towards bedroom, and allow Ape to hold this cross.
And again, look at the drone economy, though, for the Gladiators. Down to 2. It was down to 3 in the last round, and that might seem bad, but with only about 65 seconds or so left in this round, you're in a position where at least you've got some information. You've used those drones. You've played your approach. Rix is going to send another one out towards Piano, and obviously they've only got 2 left. You do have to be somewhat careful, but you know where they are anyway, right? You've got that information. You're using it. You're slowing things down, and right now, that's playing into Gladiators. They are dictating the way that this game is to be played. Keep a barrier goes out, looking to just try and buy a little bit more time over towards Piano. Stig's still playing such an aggressive position. 45 seconds left. Advantage GG. But the Knights in a good position to hold out here and find a few frags.
Sage has Nitro below as well. Stigs, his keeper barrier has been dealt with. He needs to try and hold down this position. Quiz assists though. Joe down, Stig's still prone.
And Stigs pushes in a little bit further as well. Quiz trying to deal with the player on the rappel. 30 seconds. They're going to have to make the push in, but Stigs not watching the window. Ape just pushes straight into Piano. Free kill onto Stigs. No one holding the shield as well, but inside a bathroom. Up
Nitro.
close, surely it's Juicy, the Don. But Rix getting the plant down. Successful. 3 versus 3 post plant. Quiz goes down. And it is a big play on the rappel for Tolji. Hoven still as well outside on the balcony, can hold, and from here you would think Gladiators should be home.
30 seconds remain, the double cross. Juicy able to go for the res, and Sage for the flank. The air jab, though, to just stall that out. It is a 3 versus 3. It might be achievable, but Hoven gets one, Rix gets a second, and now Quiz left to try and collect all 3 by himself. And with 15 seconds to go, this will be a Gladiators round, and a very convincing round at that. What a push in through Piano. That was the key moment in that round that allowed Gladiators to get it across the line.
Entirely was, wasn't it? You know, it felt like Stig's holding Piano. That was sort of the linchpin of the defense for the Knights. And as soon as he goes down without even firing a shot, it all just falls apart defensively for the Knights. Rix is able to get in, get that plant down. And I think anytime you're getting a plant down in that position, it's going to be so difficult to get a retake. Not happening there for the Knights. 2 rounds now for the Gladiators. And obviously, in a best of 1, you've only got so many rounds that you can afford to lose. Knights now down a round, but we head back to Bar Games, and they'll be looking to tie it up 2-2.
Cast our minds back to the very first round in this match. It took place on the same objective. Gladiators went for a very aggressive, execute-heavy lineup, tried to send it in double window games, got completely shut down. Don't expect them to do something similar here. Somewhat identical operators in the sense that they are still bringing the Ying. I don't mind that. However, expect us more of a focus up on Library, up above. Perhaps Snowmobile down below to cut off that rotation as well. Try and suffocate out the Knights a little bit, who have shown weakness. In the 2 rounds that the Gladiators have won, it has been because, largely, the Knights have given away an early pick and put a lot more pressure on the remaining players on site.
It's what we say time and time again. Josh is such a valuable player for the Knights. I mean, obviously, if any player is going down that early, allowing entry into a position like Library, for example, or Games, yeah, it doesn't really matter who dies there. So I think right now, Josh just has to be a little bit careful. 2 rounds in a row that he's died super early. He needs to not only stay alive so he can frag out, but also to not allow Gladiators to get those easy entries in. That's costing the Knights. And so far, the only thing that Knights have been able to do is just sort of hold on defensively, wait on site. They're just not able to push out, find kills, be aggressive. It's just all up to the Gladiators.
Aggression on display once more here from the Knights. The one plus side of this aggression has been they're cutting down Jones. Great example there. Often when it comes down to the late round, Gladiators don't have a lot of information to work off. However, it hasn't really been all that costly considering the advantage that they have had here. So if the Knights can perhaps find one in response, continue to whittle away that information, we could see a big flip-flop. Quiz with the flank over towards Piano, shuts down the Nook. That's nades taken care of. And that's the surprise factor of that operator dealt with as well. And this is a huge improvement already for the Knights. However, APAC with a good trade.
Yeah, and it kind of highlights the fact that as soon as the Knights have all 5 players up, they haven't lost a player early, they're able to be that little bit more aggressive and try and find those kills, put the pressure onto the Gladiators. But if you're losing a player super early and you're down 5-4, you kind of have to revert to a bit of a defensive mindset. Minute 30 seconds though, now 4 versus 4. I'd say considering the fact that it's Bar Games, Knights in a very good position. The mezzanine area has still not been cleared. Quiz obviously found a big kill earlier. They know as well the positioning of GG over towards Piano. Shield still up for Stigs, top library stairs. He can hold that position, not too worried about the utility. Down to 3 drones again. This drone economy has been a factor so far, but it has not determined the round losses for Gaimin Gladiators. Stigs falling back now. Hoven, big kill onto Quiz, takes the mezzanine position. They haven't got top library stairs though. Stigs is there. He's holding the fortress down. He gets a big kill onto APAC.
Really good util play there from Gaimin Gladiators, and ultimately they do still have the advantage. Stigs though, the thorn in the side, but he is forced back. He'll now play alongside Juicy with 45 seconds to hold out. GG with control up above. Should be able to set up now for that double window plant. Lion, no longer a factor. No more util available. And this execute will go right down to the wire. Do not count the Knights out from this one.
Juicy sitting inside a bar stock. Stigs roaming around bar. Actually, no, he's all the way down in Snowmobile. He's going for a bit of a flank here. They lost Juicy, though. Hover with a big nade. Stigs, he's not clutching it from there. They knew where he was as well. It's another round for the Gaimin Gladiators. Knights on the back foot early here on CHALET.
Really aggressive play there from GG. They are looking really confident and proactive in this matchup. The last 2 rounds, great examples of someone making a call. Gladiators as a team finding an opening and exploiting it. In that last round, really good timing there with the flash grenades. It meant that Stigs couldn't hold the cross. Quiz was under a whole load of pressure. Probably should have been cut down even earlier than he was as he retreated to Library, but nonetheless was dealt with. And then that put them at the disadvantage. So despite the Knights perhaps tweaking and improving, the early round still wasn't enough. And this has got to be mounting serious pressure again when you consider Gaimin Gladiators only need 6 rounds. Technically, they don't actually need a win in this match. A single point is more than enough.
A big start now for the Gaimin Gladiators, considering they did drop that opening round, and honestly, through fault of their own. It's not as if the Knights really did anything. They went for a bit of a quick attack onto Bar Game, see if they could catch them open, maybe catch them sleeping a little bit and just sneak into games, but Knights were ready for it, and since that moment, it's just been all Gaimin Gladiators. Knights, at least in the last 2 rounds, have kind of been able to sort of slow things down a little bit more, right? The kitchen dining defense was, pretty abysmal. Gaimin Gladiators just took it with ease, but Master Office, Bar Games, there has been a little bit more of a resistance from the Knights. Now they take the tactical timeout. They take it at the right time. We're always quite critical when it comes to teams utilizing it. With Berlin on the line, you don't want to be saving that until the last second. Get it out of the way nice and early. Try and stall this momentum that Gaimin Gladiators have built up over the last 3 rounds. And they make a big call as well to go down to Snow Wine in the 5th round. This is make or break, Guz, early on.
I think if Gaimin Gladiators get to 5 rounds, it's going to be so tough to be able to crawl that back. You would be asking Knights, despite, yes, it perhaps being an attacker-sided game, to go flawless themselves in that second half. Very tall ask. So I like this bold call, the early tactical, although in the context of this match, it's probably not really that early, because they know how important every round is. But they go down below, and that's been a strength for the Knights so far. They've shown they have a deep objective pool on this map. They're not shying away from any particular objective, and we'll see whether or not this does perhaps disrupt the momentum enough towards Gaimin Gladiators, who continue to find openings and continue to immediately pounce upon them.
It feels like such a vital round though. Early days, but of course Gaimin Gladiators, as you've said and as we've mentioned, only need the 6 rounds, and they are 3 rounds away. Technically, told you though! Oh, he takes out Stiggs, trying to peek through the window, and he cops a bullet into the eye. And once again, it's the Gladiators that have an advantage early. Knights need to bite back, and especially on Snow Wine, you can't just huddle on site. They need to be aggressive. They need to go for a counterpunch.
Question will be though, where do they find that? Joe and Ricks have already snuck into Boiler. There's pressure on Snowmobile as well.
No.
So hitting a flank here is going to be tough. And look how much pressure's already being applied. That mute jammer dealt with, thanks to Joe. And the Knights with their backs against the wall, quite literally, already. Only a minute 50.
And it's all been droned. Hoven sent in a wonderful drone. Saw that there was no one on site, only Sage inside of Wine. Joe just pushes in as well. And just luckily, Knight's able to get away. Big Nitro Cell kill. Juicy found a big kill. Juicy got 2 with the SMG. Ricks, though, still alive and Plant down in a 1 versus 2, but Quiz. And the Knights do bite back. They rallied to site. They rallied when it felt like maybe the site was falling. They were able to stand tall and get that counter defused. The retake is good. The Knights are not done with yet.
It started to feel like it. It looked like it. Early pressure from GG, and they stuck to their guns. Every round they've won, it's where they've seen an opening. They've identified it with drones. They've opened a particular wall and applied pressure, and then they've gone for it. That time it does not work out. Cut at the knees. Juicy, Josh went huge. Joe left chasing, tails in blue. And then Ricks to try and clean it up. He could not hold on in the post. Really big there from the Knights. And even if they don't win this final round of the half, they have given themselves a big lifeline by at least getting 2 in the first, because it creates that buffer.
Especially when you consider Chalet and what we've seen in the APAC South region over, well, basically its lifetime since coming into the map pool has been attacker-sided, generally 4-2. Not always the case, and in other regions it's somewhat defender-sided, so you're never quite sure what you're going to get when it comes to Chalet, even more so when it's the first time we've actually seen it this stage in APAC South. And I would honestly say, yeah, 4-2, not the end of the world. 3-3, definitely part of the course probably for both teams at that point. And again, remembering for Gaimin Gladiators, only having to get to the 6 rounds, they'll be very happy with this half regardless as to how it ends. One thing that I've been very impressed with, though, from both teams, the drone usage from Gaimin Gladiators, they don't let that go to waste. They make sure they use all their drones. Hoven had an absolutely massive drone in that last round, so that Snowmobile was completely open, only 1 player in wide, and that's why they were able to just go in. They had the information, and even though they're using those drones, Knights have done a really good job in making sure they're at least eliminating them very early on. So we're getting down to like 90 seconds left in the round, and Gaimin Gladiators have like 2-3 drones left.
Pressure now really starting to mount. Can Gaimin Gladiators respond to that last round where they faltered?
Oh,
The early round has been good. Josh already under pressure inside of library. He's been droned out. Prepares a Nitro and throws it out single. Doesn't quite land though. And told you will survive.
Well, the better thing he's done here, though, is fall back to top library stairs rather than holding the position. Gemini came out, and the mute Gemma deals with it anyway. So that's better from Josh. In the first couple of rounds of this half, he would throw out that Nitro Cell and kind of hold position, and that would just leave him a little bit susceptible to an attack and to a push. Now, it does obviously give up that library position, but hey, he's still alive. And this is a player the Knights need to be alive and firing if they're going to be beating Gaimin Gladiators.
Certainly has that clutch factor about him. We saw it in the last round. Lines of sight now into Office, so Sage is the next player for the Knights to step up here on this extension. Crossfire is already established by Gaimin Gladiators, and Sage is forced back slightly. Being droned out as well, but an impact to take care of that.
3 drones left. Again, minute and a half. It's like clockwork from both teams. They're just not letting up. Obviously, Gladiators wanting as much information as possible, but Knights trying to deny it as quick as possible as well. Still, a decent amount of vert control for the Knights, considering the time left and a 5 versus 5. Gaimin Gladiators need to find a way in and need to find that opening kill soon.
And dare I say it, this might be the first time with a minute to go we've actually been in a 5 versus 5, because there has often been an early pick in this match. So it comes down now to who is better in the execute. 60 seconds remain. Sage still up above, yet to find a kill. He'll want to step up and assist Quiz here inside of Master.
That's APAC. He falls Sage. There's that first kill. It's a big one. Nice turnaround from Tolchi. Gets the kill onto Quiz. And of course, there's the play on Sage. That's down 2. So 3 up for the Knights. 3 up as well for the Gladiators, with Joe down for the count. Josh over towards Solar Stairs. This is an interesting position. If he elects to peek up, fire the shot, he does. Gives away his position and may have to push back down Trophy Stairs. Sage does eventually die because he was down on the ground. And Josh, though, the air jab keeps him knocked down. He gets back up again. 24 seconds. Full white runs back to site.
Covered on the trophy window, and it's Tolji for a triple. And it's Juicy now left. I was going to stay site, but now in blue, forced to flank with 10 seconds to go. Joe is low, so he might be able to find this and bring it down to a 1v3, but he's hit an air jab. His position revealed, and it has fallen apart here at the conclusion of the half for the Knights. Joe gets that final pick, and Gladiators respond.
It was never going to be easy to go to Berlin if you were the Knights, and so far it is showing up to be very difficult against the Gladiators. It's a 4-2 half, 2 rounds away from Berlin for the Gladiators. The Knights now on the attack need to match. They need to mirror what the Gladiators essentially just did, but they actually need to even do more than that, guys. They can't even afford a 4-2 half. They need to come home 5-1 at minimum here. Attack on Chalet. That is the task ahead of the Knights right now.
I'll just let the players stew now for a little bit as that pressure begins to build. And that was one of the hallmarks for Gaimin Gladiators towards the back end of this stage, claiming they are playing without fear or without favor. Every match treated equally and not really having an expectation to reach the major. But sometimes this is where that changes, that mentality, when you realize you are really that close. You're only 2 rounds away. It's up to GG to not let that creep in too much, because we are expecting some sort of a momentum shift in this half. The Knights should be able to mount at least 2 or 3 rounds and keep this match incredibly close, because from round to round it has been flipping and flopping, and it has been very tricky still, in my opinion, to call out who has been the better team so far.
On a site like Chalet, entry kills so important. We saw that in the first half, single-handedly in a couple of rounds. Josh going down early, opened things up for the Gladiators. We kind of now look to the Knights and think who's going to be those players to stand up. +2 entry on Josh, and you've got a +3 entry on Stigs throughout this stage. They are the 2 highest-rated players when it comes to entry kills for the Knights. So kind of keep an eye on those particular players here in this second half to find early kills for the Knights, give them an advantage. The other thing to keep an eye on, drone usage. We saw so much of it from the Gladiators. Are the Knights going to be able to replicate that to get as much information as possible? Gladiators were basically overflowing with information in that first half, and it's so important when you're attacking these kind of sites to have that information. And boy, did they break down what is usually a quite solid defense line from the Knights. They made it look quite easy a couple of times in that first half. Knights need to replicate that. Straight away, Quiz onto the rappel, outside bedroom, and now to 5 versus 5. Round 7. These are the final couple of moments for the Knights they cannot let slip, where they're not essentially on match point. Gaimin Gladiators, they win this round, and they are effectively on Berlin point.
Really nice keeper barrier there from Hoven, just delaying the impact of this cross from Quiz on the double window. As we prepare to see where the Knights really want to establish themselves in this round. Drones inside of Solar, so a potential hit from that side. And Juicy does have the diffuser on the north. So a stark contrast to the pushes from GG. A lot of pressure here on Quiz to perform on that cross, but Juicy gets the first on the entry.
Ape, though, gets a trade back shortly after Quiz 2. Did actually get the direct trade onto Ape. Air jab onto Joe, shuts him down. Stig's big kill. Knights just obliterating now into sight. 4 versus 2. They've got the key advantage, and maybe they can also get some momentum to start flowing their way if they can build off of this round. But Tolji, Riggs, they won't go down without a fight. And it doesn't take much if both just find a kill together. That brings it to a 2 versus 2. And the Knights could be in a whole world of trouble. Knights need to close this round out. No ifs and buts. They have to finish strong here. And I think they will. Josh finds the kill onto Tolji. It's only Rix left in the 7th round. Knights looking to send this to 4-3. They want to go the distance. They have not heard no bell just yet. Stigs with a couple of big kills in that round. And the Knights are still punching.
They sure are. And what a way to kick it off. Juicy with the entry. Known for being so capable in the late round. Known for being one of the best planters in the world. Still sees an opportunity there early round. Makes a percentage play. Gets the opening pick. And the rest of the team ready to capitalize upon that. GG. They blinked. They looked back up. Half the team was dead. Really well done by the Knights. We go to basement now for the second defensive attempt from GG. We saw on their attack, it fell apart off the back of an aggressive play. Let's see what they've got on the defense.
Well, it isn't an aggressive play, though. If you drone sight and there's no one on it besides one player inside of wine, do you not think that's a good time? But
maybe Joe just rushing blue was a little bit.
Well, yeah, okay, that one was a little bit crazy. It was like a dog just chasing another dog's tail. But I think it's almost like a trap, right? Because the idea when you pick Snow Wine as the defender is to play offside, to play above, and to roam to find kills. So if you do kind of allow the attackers to get onto site, as long as you don't let them plant, you kind of got them where you want them. It's once that plant goes down outside Snow Wall, and then, of course, if that plant's down, we've seen actually players bring, say, like the Ossa and put the Talon Shield down too, and then defending outside, and at that point, you almost just can't get the counter defuse. Obviously, no Ossa here, but something to think about. So Knights, it's all about understanding what do you want to do? Do you want to try and get that plant down and obviously then defend it, or play into the roam game? And they've brought the Jackal, so there's probably your answer from Quiz.
That's not to say that there won't be early pressure here on the breaches. Snowmobile left exposed, as you can see, left-hand side screen. No one there to deny outside of impacts from Bricks. They don't land, so that's 2 impacts lost. Good start for the Knights. I'm assuming Juicy or Stigs will rotate over towards north for the west main push down into Boiler, into Tolji's position. That said, this is a different setup, more aggressive, a shield facing the run out, some ADS devices as well for the Knights to contend with.
I like the Boiler hold though. I think we saw when Knights were defending this, they left Boiler completely open, and if you allow Boiler to just be completely open, then you can get pinched on sight. So I like this from Tolji, holds a good angle, doesn't have to worry too much about behind him. 2 minutes, obviously 5 versus 5. Knights are going to be playing into the roam game. They've got the Jackal, Sage 1 and 6. You know, this is a player that generally, kind of like Josh, if he's fragging, the Knights are generally playing well, and if he's not fragging, they just don't have that firepower. So expecting him to find a couple of kills towards these latter rounds and really reignite this Knights attack. But yeah, you look at Juicy down there. What's he going to do? If he sees that shield of Tolji holding Boiler, he can't really push forward. Now, he's droned it out. So he's thinking, well, what do I do now? He just sits there. It's time being wasted. This is really good right now from Gaimin Gladiators.
Elsewhere, though, good control of West Main for the Knights, so it's not terrible. And I think Juicy will just be buying his time until someone with flash grenades can come along and burn. Styx comes alongside to open up wine, and perhaps Boiler will be ignored altogether. Now they have the cross on the re-entry here, and Tolji's in a very rough position. He's already burning these gas canisters with a minute to go. And if GG want to withstand this push, he is going to have to find a pick or two.
Yeah, and Quiz helping out now as well with the drones, but your Jackal's down below while you've got Gaimin Gladiators still up above. Rick's now on site. I'm sure he would have got droned out, surely. This makes it a little bit harder to push in, but the way that Josh is angling this, I don't think Rix has been droned out. And if that is the case, he's in prime position to make sure that no one can rush into Wine and pinch Tolji and Boiler. Ape falls to Sage, though. There's that big kill that they needed. 35 seconds left, and it's a slight defense for the Knights, but I still like this defensive setup for Gaimin Gladiators. It still needs to be broken down, Guz.
Yeah, the Knights don't really have the util now to deal with Tolji, so it puts them in an awkward position, and Sage forced to execute a play elsewhere. Josh will probe, and he finds the swing with 20 seconds to go.
He catches his head prone on the floor. 15 seconds left, rushes into Wine, but Rix, of course, was not droned out. He holds a critical position. He can find a kill. Quiz dives anyway, though. That was to Joe watching the angle. Now he swings the drop down Sage. Hello from the heavens. He falls, and the Knights make it 2 rounds in a row.
What a round there from the Knights, just when it started to look a little bit dicey. They made the calls required to get that across the line, and Rix did not have the impact that GG envisioned in that round. Too much of the rest of the defense fell apart. And despite not having the util, despite perhaps lacking the information, the Knights had the confidence to find those kills as required. They did it with just enough time to go, and critically as well, they have forced the timeout from Gladiators.
Such a big round from both Sage and Josh. Josh's work on site, Sage off site, both just essentially add up together basically to a round win for the Knights. And surprise, surprise, when we think about the Knights, every single player is capable of these big moments. What a flick there from Josh. Opens up Boiler. Rix didn't get droned out, but Sage obviously got the kills above. Earlier he got Outpay, he got Hoven, then he gets Rix as well. Basically, Josh then closes out the round. So a big tandem duo round from those two star players for the Knights, but that's not to take anything away. Stigs has been so instrumental this entire stage and having critical moments. Juicy as well. I mean, you don't even have to really talk about it. We know what the Don does, and Quiz is a player on the rise, and that's why they are in contention right now to go to a major. All 5 players are standout players. And sometimes when we get these kind of pay-per-view matches, guys, you always think, is it going to be over in the first round, one punch thrown and the contender gets knocked out? But so far, this one's living up to the bill.
GG wanted to keep things exciting, back down to basement. And honestly, I don't think the Knights played that near as optimally as they could have. All it would have taken was slightly more util, perhaps one more nade. That Boiler position would have fallen earlier. Perhaps the wall would have been open earlier. Rix would have been droned out. You add that all together, and the Knights would have won the round with a minute to go. So GG, I'm assuming, are going to throw something different here. That said, similar lineup, similar Boiler setup, and I would assume in response, the Knights will probably try and clean up their act a little bit, but do something very similar as well. So quite an intriguing call to reattempt that site, but they did have the tactical timeout to discuss it.
Into the 9th round, and again, we remind the permutation. Gaimin Gladiators only need to get to 6 rounds. Knights need all 7 to head to the major. In some ways, after the conclusion of this round, if the Gladiators win, they're on match point, effectively. Knights cannot give them any more rounds than they need to. Open up that snow wall. It's another big round to sort of watch and see, can the Knights continue to dissect this defense of the Gladiators, which, I'm going to be honest, guys, early days, but we haven't really seen enough to really suggest they're going to be able to control this attacker-sided Chalet.
And I'll be getting very concerned if they lose this site for 2 times in a row, back to back. They're doing the same approach, and the Knights are doing the same attack, which would, in theory, equal a very similar result, which was a Knights win last time. So we'll have to wait and see what gets thrown into the mix here. I'm probably looking at Hoven, of all the players on GG, to be the one that steps up here on the Oryx. He's the one that needs to disrupt this West control. At the moment, he's lurking Library. Last time the Knights didn't push this. So if he's going to hold here for now, he needs to ensure that in the back of his mind, he is planning a couple of steps ahead here and getting ready for that push late, because the Knights are already droning like they did last time through West Main. They're going to take that control quite soon. Told you he's going to start being under pressure and using those gas canisters, and all of that is going to add up and weaken that site defense from Gaimin Gladiators.
And still 7 drones available as well for the Knights, so a lot of late round information still obtainable. Gemini, just to Maybe try and catch Tolji off guard. Minute 12 remaining in the 9th round. 8 rounds have been played. Only 2 of them have been won by the defenders. It has been an incredibly attacker-sided CHALET. Josh reels these now, making his way towards wine, and a deja vu sense from the 8th round. In the repeat, they want to get this wall opened up, but no exothermic, so Stigs will have to do it with the Selmas. But 50 seconds, time, it is a factor. When we think back to the last round, it was up above. It was Sage that got those kills to really allow then Josh to push onto site without having to worry about the Gaimin Gladiators still having defenders. And they are struggling here. Clearing out the boiler position, Josh into the smoke! Oh, he finds a big kill onto Tolji through the smoke like he's Stewie 2K.
That's all they needed. One more nade, and it opens up the round now for the Knights. They don't have to worry about this position. They have this control. They can send in that diffuser, go for the plant, and GG will find it tough to deny.
18 seconds. Josh again. He's standing up, rising to the occasion. Wants to go to the major, and he's making it happen, not just for himself, but for his team. He found 3 big kills. Falls at the final hurdle, though. Now in a 2 versus 3 advantage for the Knights. But Riggs, he goes just as big, but Quiz enters what could have been a big choke. He says no. Shot him in the back. Shot him in the heart. And I tell you what, all our hearts would be racing right now in this game. 10 rounds. It's a 5-4 lead for the Knights. And they edge a little bit closer to that Berlin spot.
Good start there from the Knights. They cleared out that boiler position much cleaner. Josh then had free reign. It was like a highway into sight. Found the double. Rix narrowly was shut down, almost winning the round there for his team on the flank. But overall, you've sapped the excitement a little bit out of that round. That is a big failure from GG. The exact same setup. The Knights, as I said, played it more optimally and won the round outside of the Rix play, arguably more comfortably.
Yep.
So that's very concerning that GG, off the back of the timeout, go to the same site, do the same setup, and in fact play it worse. Now we see them go over towards dining, and their chances are slowly starting to run out. Of course, they can fall back on the fact they only need 6 rounds. However, the Knights are looking red hot at the moment, and GG do not have an answer.
Since the Knights' tactical timeout in the 5th round, the Knights have won 4 of the last 5 rounds. An unstoppable force right now on CHALET. Gaimin Gladiators need to dig deep. They are being tested like they have not been tested before. A team that was promoted from relegations at the start of the year. Had an okay stage 1, but find themselves in a fairy tale scenario here in stage 2 to attend a major. But is it being taken away from them by the Knights? I check my hands, Guz, and guess what? We've got a game on these hands as Josh falls to Tolji. The man of the hour shut down, and maybe Gaimin Gladiators can find salvation in that kill. They win the majority of their rounds when they get rid of Josh.
Just when it felt like Tolji was out of this match, he chirps up again. He's been one of the star players for GG in this match, particularly on the entry. It was mainly on the attack, but now when his team really need him on the defense as well. And it's Josh dealt with, who on these executes has looked deadly, incredibly sharp and confident landing his shots. Does that change things significantly now? I'm inclined to think yes. Upstairs, not reinforced by Gaimin Gladiators. The Knights will look to seize that opportunity to get control. Juicy as well, confident in lobby. Sage and Stigs to cover. And despite only slowly enclosing at the halfway point of this round, it has to be said, despite being at the man disadvantage, Knights have good positions. The positions don't matter if your manpower is weakened. Tolji with the Nitro! And it's 3 in the round. Quiz and Sage left in the 2 versus 5.
He has absolutely taken this round for himself and just looking to turn around the fortunes of the Gladiators. 3 solo kills for Tolji. The man of the hour, the man with the best entry rating on Gaimin Gladiators, has been able to enter in these kills and surely enter in a round win for the Gladiators. Quiz and Piano, he got 1 but traded back. You would expect that considering the numbers disadvantage for the Knights. Not much to expect from Sage. A massive solo round from Tolji. Single-handedly got them the round win. It's 5-5, and dare I say it, guys, Berlin point for the Gaimin Gladiators, 1 round away.
They needed to find a response, and Tolji was the one to find it. a huge triple kill to give his team the round. Some great, excellent solo skill. Really, really well played all around. This Nitro really capped it off over the top. That's Juicy down. And typically when Juicy falls in a round, it's because things are going left of field, and that was certainly the case that round. And as you mentioned, whilst it may not be match point, strangely enough, it is major point for GG. They only need 6 rounds. They only need a singular point from this best of 1. Can the Knights now respond? The ball's in their court.
Bomb located by attackers.
5-5, the 11th round, but generally when we kind of look at this round is to see who does get that point, that match point. Gladiators already have it. Knights must win the last 2 rounds. They've already proven and shown that they've got the capabilities of winning multiple rounds in a row. They won 3 in a row from the 7th round to the 9th round. I think the most disappointing thing, if you are a Knights fan, though, is the fact that they just weren't even in that last round, Cars. It wasn't even a contest. It was just Algi finding 3 early kills. If that happens again, Gladiators are off to Berlin. They cannot put a foot wrong. They cannot make a mistake. They quite literally have to be perfect from here on out.
The next 2 rounds, they must win. No second chances, no more opportunities. And Tolji, I tell you what, this man is looking dangerous. If he hits that pre-fire, it's over. The Knights are chalked. Fortunately for them, though, he does not land it in through to Trophy and will relocate as the Knights go for a map sweep northern across, try and prepare themselves to clear Mezzanine. And there is plenty to clear. Deployable shield, keeper barriers, and this will be a tall challenge. But it's times like these where you need to step up and prove that you are worthy of one of those 2 coveted spots.
Well, 2 things quickly. Rex on the Frost, those Frost mats. I'm imagining one's got to be big window and maybe one up in towards Library as well. But that's something to keep an eye on when it comes to bar games. You know, late in rounds, you know, sometimes teams do go for that little sort of last second rush. And if you're not expecting that Frost mat there, or if you don't play into it and you try and play into shooting play in bar stock, that could be your undoing. Keep that in the back of the mind. But also, bar games, statistically, the historical sense, is always a good sight for defenders. Now, Josh just goes straight into Library, but he meets his demise. Joe, 2 big kills! 2 maybe send them to Berlin, but Hoven falls somewhere else. Sage still outside that office balcony. So technically 3v3 throws out the nade. He might have got more than just the kill. He might have got a little bit of damage as well onto Joe. Half health. It's now a 3 versus 3. Minute 10. Still time. Pings go out. Joe, 2 big kills already. But has he given up position above? The answer, yes.
The defense with really good information. The Knights, though, need to try and counter it with their own. They still have the Jackal available. And Sage catches Rix off guard. He was repositioning. Now a 2 versus 3. Make it 2-on-2. Joe for 3.
3 big kills from Joe from nowhere. Quiz found the kill onto Tolji, shuts him down. Joe's got 3, needs to make it an ace. Can't happen. That's it. We are going down to sudden death. The winner of this 12th round will go to the Berlin Major. And Guz, it's Quiz, it's the young gun, it's the prodigy. The guy on this team that's known really for being one of the future prospects stands up now. And there's some delight in that there if you're a Knights fan. Big round from Quiz, big round from the Knights. Match point for both teams in a rare historical circumstance here in Siege. At 5-6 match point, both teams are on match point.
It's been a good script tonight. It has been a very, very good script. But even you and I don't know how this one concludes. I don't think anyone could predict the final twist in this tale. Back to bar. Last time GG re-attempted a site, it failed. It was worse on their second attempt, some may say. Can't make that same mistake. As you mentioned, quite literally, whoever wins the round, they're in. If GG win, of course, the match will continue for a formality, but it means nothing more than that. The hands now shaking. The hearts are pounding.
I don't even know how you'd be playing right now. It's a credit, though, to the players. Sometimes, you know, you've just got to sit back and think that it's almost a little bit disappointing both teams can't go. But to put yourself in the shoes of these players right now, what they're feeling, They are, right now, I would imagine, having their heart beating out of their chest. But they just have to stay measured, stay composed for this one last round. Put everything aside. It's 0-0. There's nothing on the line. Just play Siege and play it as best as you can. And see who comes out on top. Both teams deserve it. One's going to walk away feeling as if they have blown their chance at a major. The other team will be beyond elation. Who's going to make the big plays? Who's going to make their name known in the historic books of APAC South? One of the best leagues that we've got in this incredible game. It just brings the entertainment that like no other league can provide.
We already have one team booked in. That's Elevate. And only one spot for South now remains. 2 minutes will decide who goes. But for now, we wait. The Knights with decent control towards the north once more. Tolji pressuring Quiz over towards Dining. Nobody wants to put a foot wrong. If you put a foot wrong here, you put the rest of your team under pressure, and nobody wants to be the player that does that.
Well, you also have to remember there is a time factor, right? Minute and a half remaining, and you haven't really done a whole lot. That is something you do have to keep in mind. That shield's still up top library, so yes, you don't want to put the foot wrong, and you don't want to make mistakes, but you've got to make plays, and you've got to do it, honestly, quite quickly here. Joe, sitting inside of that library entrance, just watching that shield and maybe looking to try and catch them on an off angle. That might be the difference maker, right? Just that little off angle position that catches a player off guard, getting that extra kill or two can be the difference. Juicy, the Don, the older head on this team, you know he's not going to be frightened by the situation. But honestly, all eyes on Josh to make a play here. The best player on this team. The player that can stand up and make the plays needed. And he goes in. And it's a fist mat! No way! But Quiz Sage, they cover for him. Quiz falls in the hallway. Hoven and Tolji find kills. It's a 3 versus 2 in favor of the Gladiators. Can they somehow manage to salvage Josh from that map, from the grasps of defeat? He finds himself in. And Hoven still has top library control and the mezzanine. Steegs doesn't want to push up the stairs because of the barbed wire. This is a disaster here for the Knights. They're undoing by a little pogmat.
20 seconds.
Oh,
Juicy though with the one tap. Now a 2 versus 2. 20 seconds to go.
Rix and Tolji. Tolji's already had a couple of big plays in this round. It's down to red time. Of course, they're going for the revive. They've got the numbers now 3-2. They can rush on site. Juicy's got the diffuser. He has to plant straight away. Rix just sitting down below. He'll get this easy kill. Juicy's down. That's diffuser down. Tolji falls 2 seconds to find Rix. He hides. Not does he hide. He gets the ticket to Berlin for the Gladiators. It may not be the most fantastic finish, but Gladiators, from relegation to promotion to major, they go to Berlin in one of the more intriguing finishes you will ever see in this game.
What a way to win it for GG. At least win their ticket to the major. Again, the match will continue simply for formalities. As it needs to be played out. But my word, it got so close. And the play there from the Knights, could have been better than the last time they cleared Joe. They prepped the flashes, Juicy made the call, but one Frostmat unraveled the entire play there for the Knights, and then Rix able to clutch up by playing into red time. Well done by Gaimin Gladiators. They have worked so hard and deserved this position. On the flip side, of course, commiserations to the Knights. They showed big improvement and a big heart in this second stage, but unfortunately they do just fall short, and perhaps their lack of consistency throughout the year comes back to bite them, because as we always said going into this one, GG had the mathematical advantage. They only needed 1 point from this match due to other results in the season.
Yeah, and look, it's very easy to sit back right now, guys, and sort of say, why didn't Knights do this? Why didn't Knights do that? And honestly, I'm not even going to bother, because to put yourself in that position, to make the calls, to make the plays that you did, you can't fault them. You really can't. It's such a high-stakes moment, high-stakes pressured scenario. They'll look back at the VODs and think, oh, we could have done this, you know, and that's with hindsight. But in the moment, that's just the way it played out. The Frost mat, you generally, you know, should be looking out for that. You know they're playing Frost, but do you go bar? All of those things, they'll look back on and think, geez, we could have done that a little bit differently with that one round, but what a performance from both of these two teams. And now the formalities really of just closing out the overtime, which is yeah, a little bit strange, of course, because really none of it sort of matters, I guess. But all I'll say to sort of close up and for the regulation of that is congratulations to both teams for putting on a show tonight. And, you know, it really did live up to the billing. And now we just get to sit back and watch a bit more wonderful Siege.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not this one fizzles out. Of course, the Knights will still want to finish as high as they possibly can for some SI. So, of course, there is still something to fight for, as Josh almost needs himself. In fact, he does, but doesn't die. Sage does find Oven, though. 5 versus 4, and the Knights looking for a clean take here through Solar.
Empty pick for the Knights, and they get the second as well through Josh. Such is the case at this point. They're probably just playing on almost anger, if anything, and obviously for Gaimin Gladiators, maybe already taking a few sips of that champagne. Tolji, you think back to some of the individual moments that sort of played out in regulation, and Tolji with a big 3K round, he just swings, finds the player top of trophy stairs. Rix too, got a kill onto Josh with a headshot. Nitrocell, oh, so great really in the end, and one sliver of HP available still for Quiz, but a marvelous Nitrocell, and it is his undoing though, looking for the closing kill. 2 versus 3 in favor of the Knights. Joe low on health, and Quiz though, barely alive.
Juicy's drone certainly not alive as Rix takes a flick of damage. Stigs will look to push forward on the back of that yellow ping. The Knights wanting to get some side control and cut off returning members of the defense. Quiz playing that position on the double window. And from here should be a Knights round. HP though would throw a spanner in the works, but Juicy gets an entry.
30 seconds remaining in the round. Big shot from Rex. Juicy though answers back and gets the quick double at the end to close out the round. While that plant was almost going to go down anyway, Juicy elected to just get off of it and find those kills instead, and the Knights get overtime match point.
Of course, even if the Knights do still win this next round, they will fall a point short of the Gladiators. And like I mentioned before, perhaps that is an outcome of some of the troubles the Knights did find throughout the season. Obviously, it's incredibly tough to be consistent in a best-of-1 7-play-a-day stage, but ultimately they did just fall short. You go back to Bar and Gaming, the site which unfortunately saw their position at the major slip away. That was on the attack though. Now we'll switch sides and see if they can give back a bit of a blow here and salvage something from this game.
Yeah, I think it would be quite strange of them to win but lose in the same scenario for both of these two teams if this does go to a Knights win. For those maybe that just tuned in or still not quite sure of the permutations, of course, we're just playing through the formalities. Gaimin Gladiators, by getting to overtime, cannot be overtaken for that top 2 spot, so they will be going to Berlin. Knights will be missing out. They needed to win in regulation. Evidently, as we are in overtime, they cannot go to the major. They can still win this game, though, and collect the points. And I do wonder when it comes to SI points guys as well for finishing 3rd, if they could potentially be overtaken. And the answer to that is technically yes, I believe. So winning this at least still gives them something to sort of go home with. So you win this, and I do believe they can't be overtaken by IG. I think Knights actually won that matchup. Yeah, they did. So there you go. So if they win this in OT, guys, it's guaranteed 3rd. If they lose, then IG can jump up into 3rd.
Not a bad stat from you. Thanks, Jake.
No worries. The difference there actually is about 60 SI points. So finishing 3rd in terms of SI points is the same as the minimum for attending the major. So it's about 10 difference. But still a pretty decent finish, and who knows really, once we get to stage 3, what that's all going to look like for Knights and a potential SI as Sage finds the kill onto Joke, gets the opening kill. Does get traded back, and it's all just coming to a head here in this overtime match point round. Knights with the 1-player advantage, a couple of kills being traded out in quick succession, rushing up trophy stairs. Sage watching from Piano, should find this kill and does so. Easy headshot, down he goes. APAC gets the trade. I think at this point everyone just wants to shut up shop and get out of here and either go celebrate if you're the Gladiators or commiserate if you're the Knights. 2-2 though. remaining players left in this round. Juicy makes his way up Library stairs, still with that shield attached to the ground.
90 seconds remains, and Quiz holds down box. Juicy assisting on the cross. And Ape maybe thinking about a play elsewhere. Could even sneak through mud if you wanted. Just opening up the game's wall, the game's window rather now. Up to GG to try and clear this utility. But in the 2 versus 2, more likely they'll go for trades and try and find these picks. Hoven and Ape are quite split, however. They'll need to try and hunt down one of these players, and I think Quiz will be up next, taking a little bit low there.
50 seconds remaining. Can the Knights at least sort of salvage something from this game? Juicy can't find that kill onto Hoven, just gets the timing of him. Headshot. Quiz though, oh, he's been so impeccable, and kind of look back to this game and it could be the moment that Quiz has arrived here in APAC South. 13-7, did everything that he possibly could to help his team get to Berlin. No questions on his shoulders. He's left everything out there. Now in a 1 versus 1. Time against him though with the plant down. And Hoven takes a good place outside of Bar. Quiz, I don't think it's going to expect him in that position. And we should be going to a 15th round.
Hoven swings, and Hoven wins the round. So we're going to go to the 15th between these two. Probably expected considering how close they are. GG will be looking to perhaps now get the win for themselves. I wonder what happens if Knights win. Are we going to do a Knights interview? Or?
I think we should be doing, honestly, a little double interview. I don't know what's set up. I don't want to throw production under the bus, but it'd be good to speak to both teams. Rare circumstance moment here in APAC South. It'd be good to speak to both. It's sort of one thing that we have, or at least for myself, as a bit of a host in the Oceanic Nationals, the regional league, is always talking to the teams after they've sort of lost and being able to talk to them there when they win locally.
When?
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Friday nights. In fact, tomorrow
No.
night.
When did I ask?
Yeah,
Actually, I will see you there tomorrow night.
You will
I am
see
working
me
with
tomorrow
you,
night, mate. We got work. Don't forget about that. 7-7. And yeah, I think it would be probably a little bit more fitting if the Gladiators do win out here for a match where they've already won the major prize by going to the major. So, but we'll see. The Knights, of course, will want to at least maybe spoil that. And as I said, secure 3rd place. For those watching, though, of course, we do have the entire night still to play out tonight. A lot more games to follow. May not be as, I'll say, draw-worthy as this one, but Chiefs and Wildcard, Big Kane, that'll be up next. 2 Oceanic teams battling to avoid bottom spot, guys.
Getting all the good games tonight.
Yeah, Fury Elevate, the Battle of Thailand, and then IG and Direwolves. So
What's that one? You didn't give that one a little title.
Battle of the Chokers?
The last game of the stage. Keep it simple.
It is the last game of the stage, isn't it? What a stage it's been. Josh low on health. He did play well though, Josh. I feel like almost everyone in this lobby really rose to the occasion in regulation.
Everyone had their moment,
Yeah.
which I think is why the game is as close as it has been. Oh, that's a bit of a tilter for Josh, getting spawn peeked by Ape, who actually has been the worst performing player on GG, but I was going to say he'll get picked up. That won't be the case because Stiggs has fallen as well. Ape on a rampage here on the 15th round, and it will be a 5 versus 3.
Incredible stage for Ape. Considering the game he's had though, 7-14, not quite living up to the 1.2 rating that he had. At one point he was, I think, sort of top 4, top 5. Ape holding this off as possession. Does fall to Sage though. Started slow, but worked his way back into the game. As the going got tough, he too had some big moments and looked like maybe he had done enough to secure them the trip to Berlin, but no, it wasn't to be. So 4 versus 4, minute and a half, the final minute and a half of this glorious match that goes down in the history books as one of the best that we've had in APAC South, coming to an end. And while the result has already been necessarily determined, we still have yet to crown a winner.
Oven looking aggressive over towards library, double window. perhaps seeing if he can deny the entry from the attack. Now, Josh has been picked back up, but he'll need to play safe and try and use those 2 grenades effectively as Hoven is falls down. So 60 seconds to go. It's starting to get a little bit more interesting here. Perhaps not as one-sided as APAC made it in the opening phase. Quiz lurking down below, and Sage looking to assist in the util clear with Josh. He also has a Gon 6 handy. Quiz does find a roamer, a lurker of Joe. And now it feels like it's swinging a little bit towards their favor.
And we got one last round to give a bit of action. Oh, Hoven, such a smart play, the trigger discipline. He'll get the player coming through big window on the mezzanine instead. Quiz, though, gets the trade. 2 versus 3, still advantage for the Knights. Juicy, whatever you do, just don't drop hatch.
Has the defuse up, so we want to keep that safe. Quiz has been on a bit of a rampage this round. It's been a good map for him overall, but Rix eventually shuts him down, leaving him alongside Told You.
I think he might go bar this time. Josh falls as well. Rix, he's done it to them again. One more time for good measure. It's the Gaimin Gladiators. From relegation promotion to a Berlin major. Congratulations to the Gladiators.
Well, thankfully they won, because it cuts off the storyline nicely, right? An 8-7 victory in the end. They get it confirmed, and yeah, in quite a poetic manner as well on the same site and the same player to clutch it out as well. And as I mentioned, what a turnaround it has been for this team. Congratulations to Gaimin Gladiators. They'll be going to the major alongside Elevate, and very excited to see what they are able to achieve overseas.
Well, as one famous gladiator once said, are you not entertained? If you're not entertained after that game, then I don't know what to tell you. You just don't like Siege. That was a barn burner, as we like to say here. What a performance from both teams. Commiserations to the Knights. They put in a tremendous effort to help us put on a tremendous show for this game. But the Gladiators will be heading to Berlin alongside Elevate, and honestly, so excited for them. Guys, they go in really as a team with probably little to no expectations. A team from relegations to then obviously making their way into APAC South and now a major. What a journey for them in basically the space of about 6 months.
Yeah, really, really impressive. And obviously, they won't want it to stop here, right? They need to build upon this, go to the major, bag some SI points. Stage 3, they need to do the exact same thing, because those global standings, incredibly competitive, getting points in APAC South, very tricky as well. So keen to see if they back it up next stage, and perhaps we'll see them at SI next year.
Incredible match, needs an incredible desk to break it all down.